What is up, everybody? It's Justin here at S&K Greenhouse, and welcome to part 2 of me landscaping my house. Now, as you can see, we're on the shady side of the house. The sun rises that way, it sets behind the house. This side of the house hardly ever gets sun, so I'm gonna have to be really selective on what I plant here. Now, as you can see, this is a very long bed. It's pretty wide. We brought in a couple dump truck loads of topsoil and we built it up just like we did on the front of the house. Just to help with drainage. And right here at the chimney, you can see it swings out, and we did that just to kind of mimic the shape of the house. And then it ties on to a bed that goes all the way around to the back of the house. Now, most likely the back of the house will be the third installment of landscaping my house, but today we're going to focus on this side. I'm going to pick out some plants, lay them out, and I'll show you what I got. All right, guys, the plants are laid out. Let's look at what I selected and why. All right, so we got a pretty basic pattern here, but lots of interests. We'll start with the Mountain Fire Pieris. You can see it is an evergreen that loves shade. It has red foliage when it puts on new growth in the spring, and it also blooms early spring. And I've paired it with an anise or Elysium called banana peel. This is a dwarf variety of anise. It's also an evergreen that loves shade. And I think the contrast between the Mountain Fire Pieris and the banana peel really shows up and helps each other as an accent. Also, I've got a sedge grass. This is Carex everillo, I believe. It is an evergreen grass that loves shade. No, it's not monkey grass. It'll actually just grow in one clump about a foot tall and a couple feet wide. And I've spaced them between every anise, and I've staggered the anise in front of the Mountain Fire Pieris. The Mountain Fire Pieris is going to get about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and the anise I think I can keep to about 3 feet. So they're going to pair really well. Now, for this big blank slate I have, there's no window back here. When we did remodeling, we ended up taking these 2 windows out, so it's just one big blank wall. We have an Emperor 1 Japanese maple, and this is an upright maple similar to a Bloodgood, but it's a little more compact. It should cap out around 12 to 15 feet, but it'll really soften up this big blank wall we have, and it'll give us another texture and color. All right, guys, as you can see, I got my work cut out for me. This is a lot of plants, and by the way, they are spaced about 4 feet apart from each other. This should give them plenty of room to grow. And I think the way I'm going to tackle it this time is I'm going to go ahead and cut my holes first in the landscape fabric, again about 1.5 times the size of the root ball, because that's how wide I'm going to dig the holes. So I'm going to cut all that out first, then go shovel them all out, and then I'm going to place all my plants, and then I'm going to put down my pine needles. And once I do that, I will show you the final product. I know you're sitting here wishing that I would just keep talking and just keep showing my pretty face, because you're just wondering, how did somebody get such great genetics? But I gotta go, guys. I'm gonna have to dig these holes, but I will be back. Let's get to work. I got most of my holes cut out. I haven't done the grasses yet. I'm gonna go ahead and plant some of the shrubs first, and then I'll go back and do the grasses. Now, I was just about to dig my first hole, and you can see there's already some pine needles scattered around, and I left the other ones without pine needles. I like to do that last. And the reason is, when I shovel this out onto the ground, it's gonna get all in my pine needles and it just becomes a mess. Whereas the places I don't have pine needles and I shovel this out, the excess dirt will sit up here nice and cleanly, and when I'm ready to backfill, I can just simply slide it back in the hole. All right, I got the side of the house landscaped. It's time to show you the final product. It's actually a few weeks later, so things look a little bit different. We've had some really cold nights. I got busy and failed to make the last part of the video after I got done putting the pine needles down. But without further ado, let me show you. All right, so you can see right there jumping off things with our pieris and sedge grass and the banana peel alyssium. Everything's looking really nice. I got everything evenly spaced. I'm kind of OCD, so I did use a tape measure to kind of, you know, I don't know, I have a problem. I just can't eyeball things. So everything's perfectly nice and spaced. The pine needles make a heck of a difference. There's the Emperor 1 planted, and as you can see, even the colder nights still have just really caused it to turn darker red. The leaves hasn't really fallen off yet, so that's good. One of the frosts we had kind of burnt the new growth on this alyssium, but just the very tip top. I mean, look how great it still looks, even though, you know, we've had cold weather. It's perfectly bright green still, and so is the grasses and the pieris. Everything's looking really nice through here. So that's it for part 2 of me landscaping my house. If you want to see me landscape the behind my house, make sure to be on the lookout for part 3, and that is another, you know, shady side of the house. It only gets filtered light, so it's going to be interesting to see what plants I come up with back there. I'm sure I'll come up with something though and try to make it look great for you guys. If you enjoy this content, make sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell where you will get updated when I release a video. Until next time, become a plant person.